Lucas stared out of the window of the small transport shuttle as the vast alien city stretched beneath him. Towers of silver and glass rose high into the sky, glowing with colors that seemed alive. Strange flying vehicles moved like schools of fish between the buildings. This world was beautiful, but it was also dangerous. Every corner seemed alive with technology far beyond anything on Earth. He had been sent as an emissary by humanity, chosen because of his intelligence and courage. He was not a soldier, though he had fought in small conflicts on his home planet. He was not a diplomat, though he had studied many languages and customs. He was, in every sense, an ordinary human. Yet he carried the hopes of his people on his shoulders. The shuttle touched down smoothly on a landing platform high above the city. The doors opened, revealing a crowd of alien guards. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their armor shimmered with energy fields that Lucas had only seen in textbooks. His heart beat faster, but he forced himself to stay calm. "Stay confident," he muttered under his breath. "You're a human. You can do this." A tall figure approached. Her presence was commanding, her eyes sharp and bright. The alien queen. She was legendary across the galaxy, known for her strength, her intelligence, and her ability to command entire armies with a single word. Lucas felt the weight of her gaze. He had expected fear, but he felt something different: curiosity, perhaps even amusement. "Human," she said, her voice like steel. "You are here to speak for your people." Lucas bowed respectfully. "Yes, Your Majesty. I am Lucas, sent to discuss a possible alliance between your people and mine." The queen's lips curved slightly, almost a smile. "Words are easy. Actions are difficult. Tell me, human, what makes you think your people are worth my attention?" Lucas swallowed. He had prepared speeches, data charts, and arguments, but none of that seemed to matter in front of her. He needed to show something real, something that proved humans were more than words. Before he could answer, alarms rang throughout the palace. A loud explosion shook the ground. Alien guards rushed past them, their weapons glowing and humming. Lucas instinctively ducked, but the queen stood her ground, calm and composed. "Human," she said, her voice sharp now, "if you value your life, move." Lucas didn't hesitate. He sprinted into the chaos, dodging energy blasts that could have torn him apart. He saw a group of palace technicians trapped under falling debris. Without thinking, he lifted heavy beams with strength he didn't know he had and pulled the workers to safety. The queen watched him closely, her expression unreadable. When the attackers appeared, a group of rogue aliens wielding strange weapons, Lucas acted again. He grabbed one of the abandoned energy rifles and fired, aiming not to kill, but to disable the attackers. His shots were precise, calculated, and somehow perfectly timed. In minutes, the threat was neutralized. The palace was damaged, but not destroyed. The queen approached him, her eyes scanning his face as if trying to read his mind. "You did well," she said finally. Most humans would have panicked. "You did not." Lucas bowed again. "I did what I could, Your Majesty." She studied him silently for a long moment. Then she spoke words that shocked him and everyone else around. "You will marry me." The room went silent. Guards froze, technicians stopped moving, and even the attackers who had been subdued seemed to sense the weight of her words. Lucas blinked. What?" "You heard me," the queen said. "You will be my consort. By marrying you, our people will unite, and perhaps you will teach me more about your kind." Lucas shook his head. "Your Majesty, I am honored, but I am just a human. I am not of noble blood. I have no power, no title. I cannot marry a queen." The queen's eyes narrowed, but she did not smile. "Noble blood is meaningless if one cannot act when it matters. You have proven your worth. You have strength, intelligence, and courage. That is more than many of my own warriors. You will marry me?" Lucas felt his mind race. This was impossible. He had trained for negotiations, studied alien laws, and even learned their history, but nothing had prepared him for this. A marriage with the most powerful being in the galaxy was beyond anything he could imagine. "I cannot refuse," he said finally, knowing that refusal was not an option. "If it is for peace, I will accept," the queen nodded. "Good, then you will stay in the palace. You will learn our ways, our customs, and our strength. You will be my human partner for the next few days." Lucas was introduced to the life of the alien queen. He learned to navigate her enormous palace, a labyrinth of silver corridors, glowing gardens, and halls filled with advanced technology. Everything was designed to impress, to intimidate, to test those who entered. The queen observed him closely during every activity. She noted how he moved, how he reacted to stress, how he interacted with her warriors. He did not fear them, though they towered over him and wielded deadly weapons. He did not falter in their games, though the tasks were designed to challenge even the strongest aliens. One day, the queen led him to a training arena. It was a massive dome filled with alien weapons and robotic warriors. "Today," she said, "you will prove your skill in combat, not with brute force alone, but with strategy and quick thinking. This is how my people measure strength." Lucas nodded, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. He had some combat training, but never with alien technology. The robotic warriors advanced toward him. Their weapons glowing with energy, he remembered what he had learned on Earth about using the environment, about predicting the enemy's moves, about thinking differently. Instead of charging forward like the alien warriors expected, he used the arena to his advantage. He ducked behind obstacles, used reflective surfaces to redirect energy blasts, and even tricked the robots into colliding with each other. The queen watched silently. She had expected him to fail, to be crushed quickly. But Lucas moved with cleverness and precision. He did not rely on strength alone. He relied on his mind. When the exercise ended, all the robots were disabled. Lucas stood in the center of the arena, breathing heavily but victorious. The queen's expression softened slightly, a hint of respect in her gaze. "You are different," she said quietly. "Not like other humans I have studied. You think, you adapt, you survive." Lucas bowed. "I try my best, Your Majesty." She walked closer, her presence overwhelming even in her calm demeanor. "You may not know it yet, human, but you have shown a power that many of my own warriors lack, and it has only just begun." Over the following days, Lucas was taught the customs of the court. He learned the alien language more fluently, the subtle gestures that indicated respect or submission, and the complex rules of etiquette. Yet through it all, he never lost his humanity, his honesty, his humor, his empathy. The queen noticed this. She had expected a human to be weak, limited, and simple-minded. Instead, Lucas displayed resilience, intelligence, and courage. He was not just surviving. He was excelling in ways she had never imagined. One evening, as the twin suns of the alien world set, casting golden and violet light across the palace gardens, the queen spoke to him privately. "Lucas," she said, her voice softer than before, "you have surprised me. I believed humans were fragile, small, and limited. I see now. You are stronger than many of my own kind. Stronger in ways I did not expect." Lucas smiled humbly. "I am only a human, Your Majesty. But perhaps humans are not as limited as you think." The queen's eyes held his for a long moment. Perhaps not. Perhaps they are. More at that moment, Lucas realized that his journey had only begun. He was not just a guest or an emissary. He was becoming something more. Someone who could stand beside the most powerful being in the galaxy. Not as a subordinate, but as a partner. And the alien queen, who had ruled with strength and fear, was beginning to understand that power was not always about size, weapons, or armies. Sometimes, true power came from intelligence, courage, and heart. As the twin suns set completely, leaving the city glowing under countless lights, Lucas looked at the queen and thought about what lay ahead. He did not know how he would survive the challenges to come. But one thing was certain: this world, this queen, and this destiny would change him forever. And somewhere deep in the queen's mind, a new realization began to grow. The human she had married might be unlike any being she had ever known, and that was a discovery she could not ignore. The palace had never seen a human move like Lucas. Every day brought new challenges, and each one tested his courage, intelligence, and adaptability. The alien queen, who had expected him to fail at least once, found herself watching in silent awe. He was not the first human she had met, but he was the first who seemed to understand her world as quickly as she did. Lucas had begun learning the alien combat techniques in earnest. The palace had training halls filled with strange, glowing weapons that hummed with energy. Machines the size of small buildings simulated battles, and holographic opponents tested reflexes and strategy. Most aliens trained for years to master them, but Lucas approached each challenge as a puzzle. He studied patterns, observed weaknesses, and found solutions no one else had considered. One morning, the queen led him to a new test. The central arena of the palace, a massive circular space, had been filled with hundreds of automated defense drones. They moved in patterns designed to overwhelm even the strongest alien warriors. "This test is not only about strength," the queen said. "It is about perception, agility, and strategy. Your goal is to survive and disable the drones. You may not harm them beyond their function. They are not to be destroyed permanently." Lucas nodded. Understood. As the drones activated, beams of energy shot in all directions. Most aliens would have charged forward with brute force, relying on armor and strength. Lucas, however, took a moment to observe. He noticed the timing of the drones' attacks, the way they communicated with one another, and the patterns in their movements. He moved differently than anyone expected. He did not simply dodge. He redirected the energy beams with reflective surfaces on the arena walls, causing some drones to malfunction and collide with each other. He used small objects on the ground to jam sensors, forcing the drones to pause while he moved past them. Every action was calculated, precise, and unexpected. The queen watched silently from her platform. She had trained her own warriors in this arena, and she knew the difficulty. Most would have failed within minutes, yet Lucas moved through the drones as though he belonged there. His heart pounded, but he never lost focus. When he finally reached the control point, he disabled the last drone with a clever hack using his human tools, devices that seemed simple but were highly effective. The crowd of alien spectators erupted in astonishment. Even the queen, who rarely displayed emotion, leaned forward. "You survive where my best cannot," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Your mind is exceptional," Lucas bowed. "I have learned from observation, Your Majesty. I study patterns and find solutions. It is how humans survive." The queen's eyes narrowed, a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "Survive? You do not merely survive human. You adapt, you overcome, and you succeed in ways I cannot predict." For the next few days, Lucas faced more challenges. He trained with the palace warriors in hand-to-hand combat. They were faster, stronger, and larger than him, but he used strategy to compensate. He anticipated moves, used momentum against them, and often won matches without delivering serious blows. His victories were not about strength, they were about cleverness. During a simulation of a battlefield scenario, the queen placed Lucas in a situation where he had to defend a strategic point with a handful of humans against hundreds of robotic soldiers. The queen expected him to fail. Every alien warrior she had trained in this scenario had fallen quickly. Lucas studied the battlefield. He observed the timing of the robots, the limitations of their programming, and the environment itself. Using simple tools, debris, and makeshift barriers, he funneled the robots into traps. He used controlled energy pulses to confuse them, and even tricked some robots into disabling others. By the end of the exercise, the few humans he commanded were safe, and the robots were neutralized. The queen's expression softened, but her eyes were filled with disbelief. "You are remarkable," she said. "Not because you are strong, but because your mind is sharper than any of mine." Lucas smiled humbly. "I only do what I can, Your Majesty. Humans survive through creativity and adaptation. That is our strength." The queen, who had lived for centuries commanding armies and ruling worlds, found herself reflecting on Lucas in ways she had never imagined. She had expected to guide him, to teach him the ways of her people. But he was teaching her something instead. One evening, a messenger arrived with urgent news. A neighboring alien faction, long hostile to the Queen, had launched a sudden attack on the palace outskirts. Their ships were faster than anything Lucas had seen. Their weapons could destroy entire districts in minutes. The Queen called an emergency council. But her advisors were confused and frightened. "We cannot stop them alone," one said. "Their fleet is too powerful." Lucas stepped forward. "Perhaps not alone. But with strategy, we can create an advantage." The Queen raised an eyebrow. "Explain." Lucas outlined a plan. He suggested using the palace defenses in unconventional ways to decoy ships, energy reflections, and targeting the enemy's communication channels. He proposed combining alien technology with human problem-solving techniques, creating strategies that the Queen's warriors had never considered. Despite initial skepticism, the Queen allowed him to lead a small task force. Lucas worked quickly, giving orders with precision and clarity. His human perspective brought fresh ideas. They used cloaked drones as bait, energy shields as traps, unconventional maneuvers to confuse the enemy. The attack began at dawn. Alien ships appeared in the sky, firing energy beams that scorched the land. The palace defenders moved to intercept. But Lucas's plan focused on misdirection and adaptation. Cloaked drones appeared in unexpected locations, drawing fire away from the main defenses. Energy shields reflected attacks, and the enemy's fleet was forced into confusion. Lucas coordinated the defenders, issuing commands calmly despite the chaos. His presence inspired the warriors. They fought not out of fear, but with confidence in his leadership. Slowly, the tide turned. The enemy ships were disabled or forced to retreat. When the battle ended, the palace grounds were scarred but intact. The Queen approached Lucas. For the first time, she allowed herself to show amazement openly. "You have done what no warrior in my history could do," she said. "You did not rely on power, on armies or weapons alone. You relied on your mind. You are extraordinary human." Lucas bowed. "I only did what I thought best, Your Majesty. Strategy and adaptation are what humans rely on. That is how we survive." The Queen studied him. "You survive, and yet you do more. You inspire, you lead, and you think beyond the expected. I have underestimated your kind." From that day, the Queen's respect for Lucas grew. She invited him into her private chambers to discuss not only strategy, but philosophy, technology, and leadership. He was no longer merely a guest or a consort. He was a partner in thinking, in planning, and in decision-making. Over time, Lucas began to understand the complexities of the Queen's world. He learned that her power was not only physical, but also political. She ruled entire systems with careful calculation. But even she had blind spots that humans, with their different perspective, could see. He proposed reforms in the palace, small but effective, blending human ingenuity with alien technology. Some were simple, like optimizing energy use in defenses, while others were more daring, like suggesting unconventional diplomatic strategies. The Queen listened, often surprised by his ideas. One day, she asked him directly, "Lucas, how can one human think so differently from thousands of years of alien wisdom?" Lucas smiled faintly. "We see the world in fragments and patterns, Your Majesty. We are not bound by centuries of tradition. We must adapt, or we do not survive. That is our strength." The Queen's gaze softened. She realized that humans, though smaller and seemingly weaker, possessed a quality she had never encountered: resilience, coupled with creativity. Lucas did not have alien strength, but he had something far more powerful: the ability to see solutions no one else could. As Part 2 closed, Lucas had not only survived his trials, but had begun to prove that humans could stand. Beside the most powerful beings in the galaxy, the Queen, once skeptical, now saw him as a force unlike any other, someone whose true power was only beginning to reveal itself. She thought quietly. Watching him interact with her warriors, this human, may change everything I know. Perhaps he is not just my consort. Perhaps he is the key to a new future for my people.
Act!
Unaware of the full depth of her thoughts, continued to learn, adapt, and rise ready for whatever new challenges the galaxy would throw at him next. The palace was alive with activity. After the previous attack, the Queen had begun to rely on Lucas more than ever. Her advisors still whispered in corners, questioning how a mere human could command respect among the most powerful beings in the galaxy. But the Queen paid them no mind. She had seen what Lucas could do. She knew his mind was sharper than any blade or weapon. Lucas moved through the halls with purpose. He was no longer just a visitor or a consort. He was a trusted advisor, a leader, and a strategist. His days were filled with meetings, training sessions, and explorations of alien technology. Yet, for all the duties, he never lost his humility. He treated every worker, warrior, and technician with respect, which earned him even more admiration among the Queen's people. One morning, a warning came from the outer systems. A coalition of hostile alien factions had formed, intending to overthrow the Queen and seize her world. Their fleet was massive, with ships larger and faster than anything Lucas had seen. The Palace Council panicked, discussing evacuation plans and desperate alliances. The Queen turned to Lucas. "What do you suggest?" she asked, her voice steady but tense. Lucas examined the star maps, calculating positions and likely enemy movements. "We cannot match them in strength alone," he said, "but we can outthink them. If we use decoys, misdirection, and precise strikes on critical systems, we can disrupt their coordination." The Queen raised an eyebrow. "Explain." Lucas pointed to clusters of asteroids near the fleet's projected path. "We can use natural hazards to our advantage. We lure part of the fleet into the asteroid field where their size will slow them down and create confusion. Small ships like ours can move quickly and strike at key targets." Her advisors murmured doubt. "It is risky," one said. "We may lose entire fleets." Lucas shook his head. "We will lose ships only if we fail to act cleverly. Victory is possible, but it depends on precision and timing." The Queen studied him closely. She had seen him succeed in simulations, in battles, and in strategy exercises. She knew he was capable, but even she was surprised by the level of insight he showed now. "Very well," she said. "You will lead the defense. The fleet and I will follow your plan." The next day, the enemy ships approached, dark shadows against the twin suns. Lucas coordinated the defenders with calm authority. Cloaked decoy ships moved into position, drawing attention away from the main fleet. Energy shields were strategically placed, and small attack squads prepared for precise strikes. The first wave of enemy ships entered the asteroid field. Many were caught in collisions, damaged or destroyed by the environment itself. Lucas directed the human and alien ships through narrow corridors, striking at weak points with accuracy and intelligence. Every move was calculated, every decision made with foresight. From the observation deck, the Queen watched Lucas at work. She had ruled for centuries, commanding thousands of warriors, yet she had never seen anyone manage a battle like this. He was not just leading ships. He was predicting the enemy's reactions, adapting instantly to unexpected events, finding solutions no one else could see. Hours passed, and the tide of battle turned. The enemy fleet, once confident, began to retreat. Their communications were disrupted, their formation broken, and their morale shattered. Lucas's plan had succeeded. The Queen's world was safe. When the last enemy ship vanished over the horizon, the Queen approached him, her expression a mixture of awe and deep respect. "Lucas," she said softly, "you have done what no one else could. You did not rely on brute force or ancient technology alone. You relied on your mind, your insight, and your courage. You are extraordinary." Lucas shook his head humbly. "I only did what humans do, Your Majesty. We adapt, we find solutions, and we work together. That is our strength." The Queen smiled, a rare and genuine expression that few had ever seen. "You are not just my consort, Lucas. You are my partner, my advisor, and my equal in thought. Your human strength is more than physical. It is intelligence, courage, and the ability to see what others cannot. In the following weeks, Lucas continued to integrate with the Queen's court. He helped improve defenses, streamline communication, and strengthen alliances with neighboring systems. He did not seek glory or power. He sought only to protect and guide. Yet everywhere he went, whispers followed. A human who could outthink the most powerful alien minds. Who could lead, inspire, and solve problems no one else could. The Queen often reflected on him privately. She had ruled for centuries, and she had never seen anyone like Lucas. Her people were strong, intelligent, and disciplined, but Lucas brought something new, a perspective unbound by tradition, a creativity unrestrained by history. His presence was a revelation. One evening, under the twin moons of the alien world, the Queen invited Lucas to walk with her in the palace gardens. The gardens were vast, filled with glowing plants, shimmering water features, and floating lights that moved like fireflies. "You have changed much in just a few months," she said. "Your strategies have saved this world. Your insight has challenged me, and your courage has inspired everyone. I never expected a human to be so powerful." Lucas smiled. "Your Majesty, I do not think of myself as powerful. I simply do what I must. Humans survive by thinking, by adapting, by using every advantage they can see." The Queen stopped and looked at him closely. "You are more than that, Lucas. You are a bridge between our worlds. You show that strength is not only in armies or weapons, but in courage, intelligence, and heart." "I am humbled by you." Lucas felt a warmth he had never experienced before. It was not fear, nor duty, nor respect alone. It was a connection, a recognition of shared purpose. He had never imagined that his journey would lead him to this, standing beside the most powerful being in the galaxy. Not as a subordinate, but as a partner the next day. The Queen held a council in the main hall. Representatives from allied worlds gathered, and whispers of Lucas's achievements filled the room. The Queen stood before them, her presence commanding, and addressed the assembly. "This human, Lucas, has shown us a strength beyond measure. He has defended our world, guided our people, and shown insight that surpasses many of my own advisors. He is not only my consort, but a leader among us. He represents the best of humanity: courage, intelligence, and adaptability." The council was stunned. Many had doubted a human could play such a role, yet here he stood, recognized by the Queen herself. Lucas bowed humbly. "I am honored, Your Majesty," he said. "I only do what I can for the good of all." From that day, Lucas's place in the palace was secure. He worked closely with the Queen, not as a servant, not as a figurehead, but as a true partner. Together, they created a new era of cooperation between humans and aliens, blending perspectives, strategies, and knowledge. In the quiet moments, the Queen would often observe him, thinking about how her assumptions had been wrong. She had believed humans were small, weak, and limited. Lucas had shown her otherwise. He had shown her that power was not always visible, that intelligence, courage, and creativity could change the fate of entire worlds. One afternoon, as they walked through the palace courtyard, the Queen turned to him. "Lucas," she said, "I once believed that no one could ever match the power of my people. Now I see that strength comes in many forms, and you are more powerful than I ever imagined." Lucas smiled. "Thank you, Your Majesty, but I am still just a human. I only do what I must." The Queen placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of trust and respect. "No, Lucas, you are more than that. You are proof that humans, though small, can change worlds. And I am proud to stand beside you." As the sun set over the alien city, casting golden and violet light across the palace towers, Lucas and the Queen looked toward the horizon. Together, they had faced danger, uncertainty, and doubted together. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and heart could triumph over any challenge. Lucas had arrived as a human emissary, unsure of his place. He had been tested, challenged, and even feared. Yet through every trial, he had adapted, survived, and excelled. The alien queen, once proud and unyielding, had been stunned by his true power. Power not measured in weapons or armies, but in mind, courage, and the ability to inspire those around him. In that moment, a new era began. Humans and aliens, working together, could achieve what neither could alone. And Lucas, the human who had entered the palace as a stranger, had become a symbol of hope, strength, and the limitless potential of humanity. The queen, standing beside him, understood at last. The human she had married was not just her consort. He was a force of change, a partner, and a reminder that true power often comes in the most unexpected forms. And in that understanding, she felt something she had never felt before: respect, admiration, and a deep, unspoken trust in the human who had proven himself beyond measure.